as we look at that, you know, there is that pressure, and even your daughter experienced it, to fit in, and people are now experiencing health side effects from that. We've got a class action lawsuit. But there's also that, when you talk about freedom, that your daughter received, you got it as well when you said, okay, I'm going to do it. There's also more to it than just that. There's the freedom that we want to speak of in our ancestral history as well, correct? And you've traveled again to Africa many times. You know some of that, the braids and they have a lot to do with maybe what tribe you were in or what some of your background is, right?
Actually, it's a considerable amount. It not only designates what tribe you're in, it will designate your status within that community. There are various hairstyles that are worn for certain things. So a pregnant woman would be wearing her hair one way. A young man going off to war would have his hair worn another way. Young girls in West Africa in particular don't wear braids. They have, even to this day, their hair is cut very short, very similar to mine. If I can take this off now.
You can do
this,
that.
by the way, is my gaily that I wrapped, but you see what I mean? Short hair. Well, you will find this because it frees up mothers who have more than one daughter, because braiding hair takes a while. Their hair is this way, and it's clean. It can be easily cleaned, less apt to be infected with anything. The other thing is that the African braids were a way to show people who you really were, where you came from, what your religion was, whether you were married or not married, what your age was, all of those things designated by your hair. And for royal affairs, there were specific hairstyles that certain people could wear based on their status within the community. So it really was, it reminds me almost of the quilting situation where we did quilts to show people how to go north. Well, this hair was the same kind of a thing, a visual direction of where you were and what your status was and where you could and could not go.
And it maintains today, because a lot of people look at that as a history, a piece of their history, and wanting to maintain some of that, whether it's the Bantu knots or braids or dreads, right?
Right. And the locks in particular are not as African as they are something that really came up out of Africans being moved to the Caribbean area. And unless there were people within their group, and they always separated us, you know, so we couldn't speak to each other on the ships. If you got people on the ship who could all speak the same language, they might mutiny. They did anyhow. But if you have people who don't, so they didn't have the braiding techniques. And so the locks began the thing. That's when locks actually began, because they still wanted that feeling. But there were not the same skill sets, because you didn't know who each other was, and so the braiding didn't take place in the same way amongst that group.
So then, as we look back at the Crown Act and preserving the right and to hold on to heritage, history, ancestral, look back, you know, taking a look back at that, how important then would you say it is? You talked about it at the top, but what is your hope as we look at the Crown Act? Again, 24 states right now, still being worked out on the federal level, holding on to the right to wear your hair without being removed from school or looked at or talked about it on your job. That freedom, how important is that, and what is your hope, Sandra?
My hope is that women do not have to conform, and that women can come in and, as I said earlier, to really be their whole selves at work. It's really important that even today, women are still stereotyped. Men are stereotyped because of how they wear their hair. But there's also still a need for people to even touch women's hair and touch our hair. So we should be able to come into work and be assessed on our talents and our skills that we bring, and not our hair.
As you said, I am not my hair.
I am not my hair, but I'm proud of my hair.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I am not my hair, definitely, but I love my hair. And when I came to Grand Rapids in 1998, there were very few people who wore locks. And mine were all the way down my back. And literally, I was stared at. And now, everywhere you turn, someone has locks. Old, young, in between. And a number of European Americans are wearing locks. And I never know whether that's appropriation or whether that's appreciation, whether that's a compliment or whether that's, I'm taking it and it doesn't matter what the history is. We were never given a choice, really. Our hair had to be covered when we were enslaved. Later on, you know, Madam Walker and the straightening comb. And that's what we thought we should do.
Mm-hmm.
But our beauty really shows up when we come looking like Sandra Gaddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
The natural.
Yes, with the
And like
natural
you.
self. And
Yes.
you. And yours, which is naturally natural straight, there you are. We are the kind of the one of the
full circle.
The full circle,
The
yes.
full circle.
In terms of our hair.
Absolutely.
And I think that African women, if they want to have their hair pressed or wear a permanent, they should be able to do that.
Yeah.
They should also be able to wear their hair cut as short as they like or as long as they like, whatever.
I think
And-
it ends with choice.
Choice.
Black women should have choice.
And
how
men too.
Men, we should have choice in how we want to wear our hair.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's straight, curly, locks, twist, we should have choice and not be dictated to.
Right.
And we're going to end on that word. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.